welcome to That's What We Think with Connie and Steve. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. You're wearing a
Was that
striped
loud?
shirt today.
I am. I love a stripy shirt.
Yes,
I do.
you said that when I told you and Jim to be Bernie and Ert for
That's right.
Halloween.
And actually, that was the inspiration. After I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna wear stripies today. I love striped shirts. I don't know why. They're just my thing.
Yeah,
I absolutely love wearing them.
it looks good on you. I almost
Well,
wore one
thank
too.
you. Well, next time you should join me. Oh God, don't tell me we have to coordinate wardrobes.
No,
This is
nobody sees us. It
exactly.
would just be for our
Thank God.
benefit if we were coordinating anything.
God, how sad would that be? We're doing a podcast that actually is just talking, and yet we're planning coordinating wardrobes. Oh my God, it won't come to that, I promise. But anyways, how are you? How are you? How are things with you?
Good, good. I'm busy, as
Yeah,
always. I'm doing 10 million different things. So,
working mom.
yeah, yeah,
And
that's
how the
how we all
kids?
are, right?
Yes, and how the kids doing?
They're doing great.
Is
Did
it?
we
It's
talk
March.
about Evelyn?
I was going to ask you if you made that announcement, and I don't think you have,
I
Con.
don't think I did.
Well, by all means,
Well,
come on.
Evelyn auditioned for Sheridan for their musical theater program. It has something like a 4% acceptance rate, and she got accepted.
Hooray.
She,
Yay!
yeah.
I was so proud of her. Congratulations to her. That's
And her best friend said, I don't ever want to hear you question your abilities. And he is fabulous. Like, he is so fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he got in too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's oh, well done to both of them. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
very proud of both Evelyn and Darby. They're just,
see, for everyone listening, that Connie was a nervous wreck that day too. You could
yes.
literally feel the tension, even when you're texting her. It's like, I can feel
Yeah.
it.
Well, because you want so bad to have their dreams come true.
Of
And yet at the
course,
same time, you're trying to be practical
of course.
and say, well, there's other schools. And she's like, I don't want to go if it's not this school.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like, oh, wow. So gap year, I guess.
Well, regardless, she managed to knock them off their socks, and I love
She
that.
did.
I love that. I'm so proud of her. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Evelyn.
Thank you.
That's extremely. Oh God, even I can feel the nerves having to do that. All that work. Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think about us. I'm like, okay, we're doing this, and in and itself is kind of its own little nerve wracking thing because we're
Right.
putting ourselves out there, and we're allowing a crowd, so to speak, or at least 5 people anyway, to tell us if we
judge us.
passed, to judge us, right? But regardless, I mean, you're still putting whatever your endeavor is, your artistry out there, or whatever this is, and it's special because it's you, but it's
Yeah.
also, it's very nerve wracking, but it's a joy to see success. And congratulations, Evelyn. Well done, well done, well done. Well done to your baby.
I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we go from good news to... No, I'm joking.
It's not bad.
But this topic is interesting. This
Yes, it
one is
is.
interesting because despite the title of it, and we're talking about preppers and
the doomsday
scenarios and that sort of thing. Yeah. Actually, what I was going to sing was, it's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. Sorry, REM. I'm doing a terrible job of it, but, it just popped into my head.
Such a great song, though.
Oh, my God. Now everyone's going to be singing it.
Exactly. It's in my head now.
Is it? Yay! That was the
Thank
point.
you for the earworm.
But this is actually a really interesting topic that Connie picked up because it's not like the old days. When I say the old days, I mean, I'm talking about for Gen Xers, the 70s, 80s. And when you saw people, and it was usually on TV, or
Yeah.
it would be a little thing in the corner of a newspaper, or if that, or they'd be on the street, it was just these kooks that were screaming, it's the end of the world. Pack your bags.
Prepare
run.
for the end. It's
Doomsday.
coming.
But obviously time and the internet has completely changed that entire thing.
And
right,
made it a whole lot more
Relatable?
accessible, relatable.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's various different types of preppers. Like you can
Yes.
be like the full on, I have now built a bunker in my backyard or on a secret location and filled it with food for years, or it's even just like homesteading where you're doing all these cannings and stuff like that. That too is prepping.
Agreed. But I think
Yeah,
a lot of people ask, well, why why are they doing this? Why these particular people?
right.
And to put it out there, like I took a look at this article written by Forbes, and back in 2017 they were talking about the types of people that would be that are doing this, and it's
Yeah.
not what you think. It's not some out there woodsman and his wife. It's doctors. It's teachers. It's regular folk like us who really, really take it very, very seriously, and they're basically preparing for the end of the world, but
Yeah.
they're not quite sure. They want to be in control
I
of what
don't even know if
happens.
it's fully for the end of the world or it's just for some kind of catastrophic event.
I
So,
think it's a
a
combination of
war
all of it.
or something
Yeah,
environmental, like,
something like that. Yeah,
flooding or, where all of a sudden now half the world's underwater.
right.
This fascinates me. So, during COVID, there was a documentary on, I think it was Netflix. It was either Netflix or Prime. It was called Doomsday Preppers. It's now streaming on National Geographic. It was a series,
What was it called?
Doomsday Preppers.
I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
And we would watch it and they would talk about, different people that are prepping and taking survivalist courses and learning how to use their guns in order to protect themselves and their stuff that they've prepped. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm going, those are Trump supporters, aren't they?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You knew that they were Trump supporters expecting like the rapture or something.
But that show was a hit. 4 years it
Yeah.
lasted. And it ended because, from what it said on IMDb, basically that they were saying that the hoarding was becoming a real issue with people.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of complaints based on that, and a couple of other issues, of course, as there would be when you're doing this type of show.
There is that fine line between prepping and hoarding,
Right.
right? Like, how much toilet paper do you need? You
I
know,
know.
depends on the situation, I guess. But remember, during COVID, our grocery stores ran out of toilet paper. It was one of the first things that they ran out of.
Is it that, like, I think about that every once in a while. I'm like thinking, what the hell? What are you guys eating that will require that much toilet paper, first of all?
No,
And
I know.
secondly, what the hell are you thinking? Like, do you, like, why out of all the products would you hoard that? It just doesn't make
Well,
sense.
because
I mean,
you
yes, of
want to
course we
wipe.
all, of course we do, but
But I guess if you
how
didn't
long do you
have
think
it,
you're going to be living here?
if it ran out, if toilet paper ran out, something happened and toilet paper ran out, you still have a shower.
Agreed. They have bidets these days. Or just get some
Yes.
water and clean yourself. It's not that hard. You don't need all that toilet
No.
paper.
There's actually some people who do not use toilet paper.
Yeah,
It is against their beliefs. It's not like they're not cleaning themselves. They are
yeah.
cleaning themselves. They're using water. They're
Some
washing
cultures,
themselves. It's actually
exactly.
probably better.
It is because it doesn't clog and it's not in the. It's
Well,
not.
it's also so if you put poo on your hand, are you just going to use a piece of toilet paper to wipe it off and go, yeah, I'm good? Or are you going to use soap and water and wash your hands? I just, you know,
I'm loving how this conversation took a bit of a detour there.
just really, I mean, if
I
you're going to be
know.
clean, toilet paper not necessarily the way to go.
See, but that makes me question the mindset sometimes of people that are preparing for quote
Mhm.
unquote whatever it is that they think is going to happen, some catastrophe that's going to cause a complete disruption of our world, and whether they truly are as prepared as they think they are.
Yeah.
Because what you just said is actually kind of common sense, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just,
Yeah. Like
you
it's
know,
gross. It's
but yeah,
taking
it's
it on a
gross.
very nasty level,
Oh,
but still
so
it is.
nasty, so nasty. Hopefully, people won't be listening to this at breakfast time
I know we just lost
for
half the
lunch.
people.
I know. And just so you know, Connie does not do that.
No, I wash my hands. I don't actually get it on them.
Oh my God, what's happening to us? Anyway, but go on. You were just saying like just about we were just talking about why why this? Why are they
Well, if
so?
so,
Are
and
you
it's
just
not
and are
just,
you?
as you were saying, it's not just like the woodsmen out in
No.
the backwoods that is doing this. These are like billionaires are doing it
Yeah.
too. They have huge bunkers that are all over the United States. I don't know about here in Canada, but you have Bill Gates and
Zuckerberg.
yeah,
Yeah.
who
Apparently Kim
are.
Kardashian too. Eh? I didn't know
Oh,
that as well.
really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
The
Yeah,
Kardashians as well.
they're
Apparently.
buying up a whole bunch of land in the center of the US and building these lavish
Of course.
bunkers. They're not just a normal bunker that you would see, especially you remember during the Cold War bunkers, right? They'd be like these little silver tubes or cement things that they would have done into your backyard.
Yeah.
Those would have a little, some cans of food or whatever. These bunkers are
State of the
lavish.
art.
They have everything that you can think of electronically. And I'm thinking, how is all of that working? If that system breaks down, are you going to have the electricity in there to function? Like, are you using solar?
Well,
How's it working? And I'm sure they have it figured out. They have the money that they can do that. But a lot of them are looking at the doomsday map.
okay.
And why are people obsessed with this map? There's two different kinds of scenarios that the doomsday map is, and one is flooding and like environmental. So you
Yes.
have the waters rising. And I was always obsessed with that. Whenever we bought a house, I was always like, okay, how likely is our house to get flooded? I don't know why. It's always been something that has been a concern of mine for some reason.
Yeah.
Not because I'm worried about the end of the world or doomsday or anything like that, but it's
Yeah.
just, I don't want to have to
Yeah.
deal with my basement being flooded, right? Yeah,
But sure.
yeah. And there's some houses that here that were built right by
Yeah.
Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
That land used to be swamp.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, that water wants to actually go back
It
there.
does.
So,
Right?
how likely are you to keep your basement dry in that situation? Because they all have basements. It's just, and water finds its way through.
It does.
Um, so there's that. There's also the temperatures rising. With the increase of temperature, you have a lot of people that are going to be leaving places like India or parts of Africa and stuff like that because of the temperatures just being uninhabitable.
Countries near
Right.
the equator, right? Like
Right.
that would
That
be
whole
yeah.
area, it's been talked about where they've said that's going to be our refugee crisis in the very near future, is a bunch of people having to leave those areas and come to places like Canada where it's, the temperature is rising here as well, but not to the same degree as at the equator.
Yeah.
And the other reason, of course, is nuclear war.
Yeah. Now, I agree with all of these things. I can back you up with just a little bit more because
Right.
I think there's a theorist, and I found this online as well, who's famous, Edgar Casey. I think there's a great deal of people that have heard of him. He talks about that shift that you were talking about with global warming and nuclear activity. And apparently he predicted a 16 to 20 degree shift. And he predicted that both Mount Etna, this is a volcano in Italy, and Mount Pelee in Martinique, will erupt, and there will be approximately 90 days to evacuate the West Coast before massive flooding claims the coastline. They have these
The West Coast of the US.
The US, where some of these theories, I'm going to just say this incredibly masochistic attraction to doom. And there is an attraction. Make no mistake. That's what I believe a great deal of these people who fall under this category of doomsdays and preppers are utterly infatuated with the idea of doom and gloom and disaster.
Well, I think it's also because they think that a bunch of people are going to be gotten rid of.
Yeah.
Except their own people. Their own people will be safe. It's just kind of like, when you hear people say, we just need a good pandemic to get rid of a bunch of people.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
You're thinking that pandemic is going to affect everyone else except for your own people. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
You know, when you were mentioning the shelters and all these bunkers that some of these billionaires and millionaires are building, I think to myself, fine, spend your money. You've got tons of it. I mean, forget helping society. Let's just help myself here. Fine. You want to do that? No problem.
Exactly.
Fine.
That is
But
exactly what that is.
absolutely. But I keep thinking, are you going to be bringing doctors in there, like scientists that know how to make drugs? Because you still are human. You
Yeah.
still have blood and bones and all the stuff the rest of us have. You will have cancer. You will have health problems. How are you going to deal with that? Is that down there with you? Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to me that you would build all these things, and you may think that you have things in place to help you along for how many years, but the fact of the matter is there is no guarantee that if this happens and there is a cataclysmic disaster that affects the entire planet, there is no guarantee, regardless of what you do, that you will live. The
Yeah.
earth always wins. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Always.
We are a
And I'm
speck.
sorry, what type of earth are you wanting to live in after that? Like how long are you planning on staying in there? Forever until you die, or are you coming out and now it's like Mad Max type of situation and
Right?
you're good with living in that? I don't know.
See,
I don't
see,
know.
that's
It's
the
kind of,
thing.
when I've talked to my kids about it, we have nuclear plants near us, and we're just far enough that we should be fine if there's some kind of meltdown or whatever. And my kids are like, I think I'd rather be closer so that we just go real fast
Yeah.
as opposed to slowly getting
Succumbing to
cancers
illness.
and
Yeah,
slowly dying from the fallout of it.
I am with
Like,
that. We were in Bali, and there was a tsunami warning when we were there. And it was my mom, my sister, her partner at the time, her boyfriend, and myself. And I just remember her partner was he was nervous about the whole thing. And mom and I were like, we're just sitting on the couch. If it happens, it takes us. So what? We had a good life. You know, I'm telling you, I am not running anywhere. I'm not, I can't, I personally, frankly, I can't. I have
yeah,
medical issues that prevent me from even thinking, like, if there is a terrible world event, it's like, okay, well, I had fun. I did.
yeah,
I really did. Because there's nothing I can do that's going to keep me alive without my medicine.
right.
So, I think about that part of it. And I don't know if these people do. They're
I don't
still
know.
human beings. You are going to get sick. Who's going to help you? Who's going to make the drugs for you?
I think, especially in the case of the billionaires, is that they think that they have enough money that they can buy their way out of anything. But if something were to happen and it wipes everything out, how good is your money now?
Well, that's it. And they also forget, if they have a security team to protect them, well, history has told us about what security teams do to people that are
Yeah.
super rich and want to control things. So don't think that you're going to be safe.
No,
That's all I say. There will be no safety in this scenario, but I do think from a more realistic perspective, well, I mean, I'll just use this as an example too. When we were living in Prague
hmm,
for Jim's production, a friend of ours said, always make sure that you have a go bag
yes,
ready to go in case of something happening. And something did. When we were there in February, the war in Ukraine started.
yeah.
So immediately you're like, oh my God, you have to think and prepare. And I don't know if you took a look, Connie, on the doomsday or prepper map about what they are supposed to have, like what the essentials are, the
The
staples are.
essentials. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
have
Now, I'll
the
just say this
bug
real
out bag.
quickly.
It's huge.
Yeah, but for like just for the go bag perspective, it's just like have cash and
Yeah,
and your
and your
paperwork and
passport.
passports and all that other stuff. But their list is it's
Yeah,
like
their
camping
list.
for
It's
life.
it's a huge. It's a 72-hour kit. So you need 3 liters of water per person. So, I mean, I guess every person should have their own big camper backpacks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or a life straw or portable water filtration, high calorie food, protein bars, dehydrated meals, first
yep,
aid kit, Swiss Army knife,
yes,
fire starter,
yep,
waterproof matches, lighter, emergency shelter, or a tarp or a small tent, warm clothing, extra socks, especially because
yep.
your feet get wet.
Oh yeah,
That's it,
socks are
right?
huge. Socks are huge.
Yeah. A rain poncho, flashlight, self defense, pepper spray, a gun if you can have it, if it's legal where you are, I guess.
I think at that
Rope.
point it won't matter.
No. Rope, duct tape, compass. Does anyone even know how to use a compass or a paper map?
What
You
do you
know,
think? People can't even find their way home
exactly.
without their phone.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this one actually made me laugh. So you need an emergency radio so that you can get the NOAA alerts. Except for
okay.
Donald Trump just finished decimating the NOAA, so I'm not sure how many of those alerts you're going to get.
What a
A whistle,
dumbass.
I know. A whistle, notepad, pencil, because a pen can run out, so a pencil is better to have.
Yeah.
Wet wipes, hand
Okay.
sanitizer, again, toilet paper,
Right.
soap, toothpaste, period supplies if you're somebody who gets their period, cash, of course, ID, emergency contacts written down because your phone
Yeah.
could die, right?
Yep.
72 hours, your phone's going to be dead in 72 hours if you have no power. A fishing kit and a small cooking stove. Like that's a huge amount of stuff that you have to have in this thing. And so is it better to have a spot like a bunker, or is it better to be moving, right? Because a moving target is less likely to get hit than somebody who's stationary.
Explain to me how you're supposed how fast can you move when you're carrying everything you just
I
said?
know.
I mean, I'm crawling.
Okay.
There's no running.
So you need to start planning that now. So get the weighted vest, go on the treadmill or outside and start walking. It's called you need training for this whole situation. The one thing though that with the doomsday map that it did show that if it's a nuclear war,
Right.
you want to be in Australia or in New Zealand. Those are the
Okay.
two safest countries to be in.
Okay. Why?
So I don't know. I think it's because most of the stuff that would happen, you have Russia that's at the north, you have USA that's in the north, Europe again in the north.
Interesting. New Zealand is beautiful. But
I want to go there so bad.
you'll love it. It's just
Yeah.
gorgeous. But it's interesting. Just to circle back a little bit about the food, because I also took a look. Because obviously, food. Of course, I'm going to take a look at that. But I was looking at what they were suggesting, which is ready-made cereals and, like you said, dried fruit, lots of peanut butters, tons of canned goods, pasta, rice. Seems to be number one on the list.
Yeah.
But
Well,
here's my
to
thing.
fill you, right?
But like every item, rice can decompose like everything else. Like it's
Yeah.
not, and pasta. It's not a lifelong thing that you can store.
No.
Everything has a period before it's no longer good. Canned goods too, unless you want to have a lovely case of botulism when you're opening it, you need to eat that stuff,
Yeah. It has a
So
shelf life.
so that's why I'm wondering, even with this scenario, say it does happen, fine. How long do you expect to think that you're going to last here? Because
No.
everything here on this list will not be good. Well, it's terrible grammar. Will not be good for you. after a time period, it's not going to last 5-6 years here. I question. I do think you're right about getting rid of the right kind of people for them, like in their
Yeah.
mindset. I
Yeah.
think that plays out way more than the practicality of really planning for it. They
Yeah.
think you're going to get hurt and I'm not,
Yeah.
which is a disease that's still infecting people right now.
Yeah.
Don't even need doomsday. You just
No.
need an election to bring that out in people, apparently. But I'm taking a look at this, and again, it's the food. Well, granola would last, though, don't you think?
I think it would last a certain amount of time, but it still goes rancid, right?
With dried fruit, like the
Dried
the
fruit would probably be okay. Honey,
yeah,
honey lasts
honey.
for centuries,
God,
but
you
I mean, you
survive
have to
on
put it
honey.
on something.
Could you imagine, Connie? We wouldn't be able to have coffee or tea. Like,
Yeah.
well, you could have tea.
Even
Could you have
coffee, the
tea?
ground coffees. How long does ground coffee last?
I have
Or
no
beans?
idea. I have no idea. But what are you going to
Mm.
make it with? I mean, you're going to use a hammer to hammer the coffee beans? I mean, the grinder won't be
Yeah.
working. So, and that's another thing. I mean, do these bunkers have? Yes, they would. They would have
Have all the
electricity.
hand. Yeah,
They would
I'm
have all of
sure
that
that
stuff.
they are equipped with everything that they're supposed to have as far as like hand grinders and stuff like that.
I
My grandmother had a coffee grinder It
Yeah.
was a wood box, and it had this little handle on top that you would go around and around with.
Yeah.
And that's how you ground your coffee. And then this little drawer would be in the bottom of it, and all the grounds would be in there. And that's what you used to grind your coffee.
See, this is a fascinating topic because again there are elements of it that do make sense because we do not have the capacity to predict the future. We just don't. But there are things that you really, for the most part, in a general sense, should be doing. For
Yeah.
example, with your passport, you should have physical copies of it. You should
Yeah.
be taking pictures of your credit cards. You should be taking pictures and having physical copies of your prescriptions. You should have cash on hand just in case. Always. You just don't know. That sort of thing absolutely makes sense. But to plan for a 6, 7 year or however long, and that's another thing, how long do they think these disasters are going to last before
I don't
they
know.
are able to re-enter into Earth or wherever they think they're going to be? That's like if there's going to
Yeah.
be shifts,
I
do
think
you
there's
think
I
you're going
think
to be
there's
able to come out into land or into sea?
I also think that there's varying degrees of preppers and doomsdayers, right? Like
What do you
there's
think?
different people. Like I think for myself, if
Yeah.
because I could very easily see myself getting sucked into that world of like, oh, we got to prep for this and we got to prep for that. Because I do always think of, okay, I should maybe get a few extra cans of beans
Fine.
or some dried beans or whatever. Have them
Right.
on hand just in case. Every time I go grocery shopping, just get a little bit of extra something, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and because especially when I was watching the Doomsday Preppers documentary, I was like, that's a good idea to do that. Or, like I could really get sucked into it. It was just, like, oh, maybe I should. And I do think I should pack a bag for everyone that we have it and it's ready to go. And it's just, we just grab and go if we have to. Ever since 9/11, it was my biggest concern. If something happens, how do I get my family all in one place? How do we all get together? And, my kids, the older ones who are, moving to different areas or whatever,
Yeah.
Jack's going to be going back to Alberta soon
Yeah.
to fight
Yeah.
fires out there.
Yeah.
Speaking of disasters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's like, it's not practical for me to come back home. I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, but I want you to be back here. I need you to be back here. I need to make sure you're safe. Like that's my mothering instinct,
Of
right? Is to make
course.
sure that all my kids come home. We're all safe under one roof, And
Of
he's like,
course.
but if something were to be happening and he's trying to come over here, he could get harmed in transit, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Exactly. So it's a worry.
So, okay, see, that's the thing. And we've
Mhm.
talked about the importance of living in the now. And
Yes.
I'm starting to I learned this the hard way about living in the now rather than worrying about something that we have absolutely no control over. And from what I've read about doomsdayers and preppers is that that's the ultimate goal is to be in control of your
Yeah.
life in light of these potential catastrophic things that
And you
could be
can't.
happening. And there is absolutely no way that you're going to be in control of that. Maybe, look, if that's what they believe, so be it. And I'm not going to be the one to step in there. Oh, yeah, you're drinking the Canadian cup. Yay. Elbows up, Canada.
Yeah, I have my Canadian
Sorry.
cup here.
I love that, by the way. But
Thank you.
we have there's no way of knowing. And I think that robs you. Again, learning this through therapy and a very, very intuitive partner in regards to just living your life and how to live it. It's terrible to have that part occupying your mind
Yeah,
so much that it
it
interferes
is.
with what happens now.
Yeah.
We have no way of knowing of what's going to happen, but
No,
you can still live your life too. If that's what makes you happy,
right.
do
And
what
I
you got to
mean,
do.
I think that
Living
COVID
happy.
might have taught us a bit about that. When there is the unknown, we can control certain things and try to protect ourselves in certain ways,
Yeah,
but there's no way of knowing at all. I mean, so when my dad passed,
yeah,
he had COVID,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
he had COVID and he went to the pharmacist. The pharmacist gave him medication that we're guessing interacted poorly with his heart medication.
Hmm.
And yeah. So, and at that point, we thought we were out of the clear of COVID, that COVID is just the flu and it's no different than anything else. But we weren't.
We
So
weren't.
all of the trying to control things and protect ourselves and everything um,
Didn't work in that.
didn't
In that.
save everybody,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
There's too many of us that ended up succumbing from it. But
I know.
yeah,
I think the hardest part of the lessons learned from COVID, which is a perfect example of a doomsday scenario coming
yeah,
true, is that we cannot rely as much as we believe that we were taught to believe in the kindness of humanity and the ability
no,
to look out for each other in the face of something awful happening, that we can turn to each other for support and for just common good, for the good of society, that we all work together to get over it and try to get through it together. And what happened was the exact opposite
yeah,
of all of that. And that includes the hoarding, those, excuse my language, those fucking convoy clowns, all those people that were out there creating disruptions because their lives were interrupted. And I just think, to me, that opened my eyes more to the possibility that sadly we may actually be on our own. I'm hoping that this was just a blip, that people may have learned their lessons about society and how we can cope when it comes to certain horrific events that happened. I'm seeing, actually, I will say, on a good note, what's happening even with Canada and the tariffs, which is a disastrous situation too,
yep,
but we are coming together, and that brings me hope. I've
yes,
never been prouder to be Canadian than I am right now, watching Canadians, most of them, really come together across the nation.
fun.
And I'm so proud to see it. So that gave me hope. That part, it really showed that the goodness of what we can do when we're all working together and we don't have to be alone.
Yeah,
And that's, you know, we still have work to do. Yeah, I do think that's the conundrum that we're in when you're dealing with this type of topic.
exactly,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Along with the stockpiling, though, you have to
Yep.
have basic survival skills. So
Yeah.
I'm going to name a few of them. You tell me if you have them. Canning.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Me too.
Preserves and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Any
Got
of
it.
that. I
Yep.
can do that. Hunting.
I sort of know how to use a shotgun,
Hmm.
but I could do it.
Could you?
I think so.
Could you look at an animal and shoot it?
If I'm hungry, I can do anything. Trust you me. We had
Oh,
wild turkeys one year in our backyard, and Mom was like, "Oh my God, those are cute." I said, "If I had something, God, I bet you those taste good."
oh my God. I used to
Sorry.
say all the time, because I don't know if I could. I don't know. I honestly, I think I'd be like, all right, vegetarian now.
Nope. No. I'm sorry.
But
No.
I would say that, my
You?
dad was, when we lived in Barrie and we lived outside of Barrie, we lived out in the country and we had chickens and rabbits and
Yeah.
stuff like that. My dad was the one that
Yeah.
slaughtered and butchered all of that stuff, and that's what we ate. and
Yeah.
and yeah, so I would meet him. Now he's gone and I'm like,
Oh,
who am I going to do? I do have a friend, Laura, who she can hunt and she knows how to butcher.
wow.
Yeah, so I need to keep her close so that I can utilize those skills, or else I'm, like I said, it's
You're
vegan for
eating
me or
plants.
vegetarian for me. I can milk a cow and I can gather eggs from a chicken, so at least
Yeah.
I could have dairy, and I know how to make cheese from the milk. So I could do that.
Yeah.
I
Those are
can
great
even
skills.
make yogurt,
Okay. Yum.
in case we're in the mood for yogurt and
Yep.
sourdough.
Yep.
But
Wait, do you know how to do yeast? You know how
to make the
to
sourdough
make it?
yeast.
Wow,
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you
Yeah.
go. You
We
got life
have
skills.
Emily actually has been making one, and so she has her yeast. It's called Jane Doe.
Oh, Emily,
Because you
you
have to
never
name your
stop to make me
yeast.
laugh.
How about purifying water? Do you know how to purify water?
I don't. I know there's a whole distilling process with that.
Mhm.
It's cheesecloth and some other and a copper pot, I think, or something along those
I
lines.
have no
But I'm
idea.
not quite sure how. Or boiling water. I mean,
Boiling, but
that's about it. But
is there
I
more
mean,
to it, I think?
I'm sure there must be something that you have to do. Maybe you have
Yeah.
to drop an iodine pill in there or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
no, that's probably not my area. What else?
Making a fire.
Dad always used to do that when we camped.
You don't know how to make a fire?
Well, I mean, other than lighting a match, and I don't know how to rub the sticks, which gather to get it to start.
You can get flint.
Or
Rubbing the
there's
sticks
that.
might take a long time.
That's not that hard. I can figure it out, but I've
Yeah.
never really done it. So,
Yeah. I
because
can I
other
can
people
I can
have.
make a fire.
Okay, all
Yeah, I can
right.
make a fire and I can put up a tent really easily.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when we would go camping,
yeah.
my sister and I, the guys were useless. My sister and I would put up the tents. We'd be like, how are we the ones doing it? And you guys are like incapable of putting
It's
up a tent. It's following instructions. It's not hard.
maybe that's a problem. There you go.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I'm with them. I'm not very. That's not my thing. What else you
Yeah.
got?
That's it. That's all I have so far.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's look, like I
Cooking from
said,
scratch too. I bet you
which
there's
is
a lot
fine.
of people that don't know how to cook from scratch,
That's
meaning like
that's a
having
skill.
raw ingredients and having to
Ingredients.
put them together to
Yep.
actually make something as opposed to, you know.
I have to tell you again that and that's no fault of anyone else's. That's just the
No,
way it
no.
works out there.
Yeah.
But if you have the capacity to do that, bravo. That's a big part of it. Eating is survival. The
Yes.
rest of it is obviously,
Luck.
it's peripheral, but it's also part of it. But eating, you need to eat and you need to have fresh water.
Yeah.
Water more importantly than eating.
Mm.
And the skills of learning how to figure out with water what you're supposed to do, I think is the number one component. Like you
Yeah.
need water.
Oh, another one would be foraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my grandfather used to be able to go out and know what mushrooms were safe and what
Oh,
were
that's such a
not.
skill.
He could do all of that. Yeah. And what
Connie, I wish
berries
I
were
knew
safe
him.
and what berries were not. And
That's such a skill.
it is. And I don't know why I never went out with him to do that. Like it was just, you
Well, you weren't
know,
interested. Were you back then? Maybe it
I was a
wasn't.
kid, right?
Yeah. Well, I
But
know Lydia
now,
Bastianich.
now I would love to know that.
I know. Well, that's one thing I love about Lydia's show. She always talks about that whenever she's cooking her meals, whatever it is, she always mentions as part of growing up when she lived on the farm that all of it was learning how to live off of the land
Yeah.
and knowing what things that are poisonous and knowing what isn't and foraging, all of that stuff. It's a skill that sadly is really starting to die.
Yeah.
And I think we will be at a loss if we lose
I'm
it.
certain it's almost dead. Like it's not dead because there are some people that know how to do it, but it's probably like 0.1% of the population know how to do that.
Maybe over here. I wonder if Europe's different. I do wonder if
I
their
don't know.
structure's different.
Maybe.
I often think they do things,
Yeah.
have a better understanding
In North
of,
America.
yeah, I think North America, we are far, surprised, we're a little bit behind. So, I know.
Yeah, it's like we moved here from Europe where we were doing that and completely got rid of all of those skills.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, didn't want to listen to the indigenous people of the land who knew exactly what to do.
That's right. And look at us now.
We lost it all thinking that we were smarter
I know.
than the indigenous people that were native to the land and knew how to work it. That is not being smarter.
So, do you think that kids today, or even us when we were in school, should have had a course on life skills in that aspect?
In home ec, you learn how
Yeah.
to.
What did you do in there? Because
I sewed a skirt. I made a dress. I still have the skirt.
you do.
Yep, I do not have the dress anymore. I think we made brownies and cookies and some kind of casserole.
Life skills.
Yeah, life skills. There you go. So I can
That
sew
home
a
ec
straight
class.
line.
Con. This is guys. This is the day where guys did not do home ec at all. It was
No.
a strictly girls thing, and all the girls that I knew in high school that were in our grade, they were in home ec,
Yeah.
and a lot of the girls. So I was always curious what you guys were doing what you were making in there. And if you made brownies or cookies, why the hell didn't you share them?
Oh, we did share them with each
With
other.
who?
With ourselves.
Were they good?
They were delicious.
Shut up.
They were, I swear.
I believe you. I just said shut up. You didn't share it. Damn. I made it. I was just curious. I was always curious. Who was the teacher? Do you remember?
I don't remember at all.
Me either.
I can't even actually see the teacher. It's almost as if we were there with them. Guidance. I'm sure somebody listening will be able to tell us.
Yeah.
In the comments, let us know who the teacher of the home ec class in St. Joe's High School was.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I guess, you know what? When you think about, oh my God, even with that sort of situation where, you know, there weren't any guys in home ec, there were no girls in shop. It was
my sister took shop.
Wait, Magda Pushfitz. So hi, Magda. She did shop. That's right. Because we had to do that in order to do architecture.
Yeah, Vonda took shop too.
She did, eh? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
I love shop.
And I mean, and she still utilizes all of those skills today because she's building her own kitchen.
Is she? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anyway,
she likes doing stuff like that.
So
but
that's why we're talking about life skills. Yeah, it's still we're still on topic. It's about life skills, and all that stuff actually happens in case of something happening. You have the ability to at least survive, or at least try to, in some respect, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason that a lot of people are doing all of this prepping and are worried about doomsday is because of the conspiracies that are going on out there, and there have been some wild conspiracies that, you know, and like you said before, it was that weird man on the corner with the sign saying the end is nigh, shaking his fist and quoting Bible quotes. But there's so many. So there's one, it's Planet X is on a collision course with Earth, and that NASA is not telling us about it. This is the conspiracy theory that NASA is not telling us about it. Well, again, Trump is like decimating NASA. So now we're really not going to know.
Oh my God.
Giving it to SpaceX and, you know, oh well, good luck there.
Right? Oh man.
I guess whoever can afford to be on the spaceship that goes to Mars that he'll build, you know, they will be safe. For the rest of us, he's going to be like, not going to tell you about Planet X colliding with Earth.
Oh my God.
So that was supposed to happen in 2012.
Yeah.
And then again in 2017.
Uh-huh.
And we're still waiting.
Wasn't the end of the world also supposed to happen? Was it
1999?
1999? Yeah, 1999. Yeah.
Yeah, the Y2K.
Y2K.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are.
Everything's going to be shut off. How are we going to do this with like going from 1999 to 2000?
It was insanity.
Yeah. My dad used to always say that the world ends every day for somebody.
Yeah. Actually, that's
the end of the world for that person.
That's wise. That's very true.
Yes.
It's very true.
We would talk about things like that, and he'd be like, please, the world's going to end every day for somebody. The other one is Yellowstone supervolcano. Caldera is overdue and will send us into another ice age.
Okay.
So almost like if we're in an ice age, you know, how are we going food?
Well, that's the thing. If we're in an ice age, those last generations. And you think your bunker is going to last?
Just survive
that? Like, wow, that is an entirely different level of thinking that it's hard to fathom what's going on in someone's head at that level. But okay, what else? What other events do they think is going to be happening in the
CERN is opening up a black hole.
Again, the bunker's going to help you.
I know. The entire Earth goes into a black hole, but you're in a bunker, so you're safe.
Congratulations.
And you have lots of toilet paper and a bunch of beans.
I hope we don't get people writing in saying, stop making fun of us.
But the best one is that CERN is actually opening up a portal for demons to come out of.
Okay, Con. I think that at this level, we are finished with this conversation because
Come
I,
on. You don't want demons and the Antichrist to be
I
roaming
just,
around the earth?
you
Is
know,
that scary?
what's scary for me is checking my bank account, and making sure that I have money in there to pay my bills. That for me is what matters, not
Well,
some
yeah.
freak show of stuff that's going to be potentially coming my way. I
Yeah.
can't even. But it fascinates me that you really are, that you're into this.
Oh, I
And
think it's fascinating. I think
it is.
it's so interesting. Imagine what it is it that you would make you think that demons are going to come out somewhere. We have enough demons that are here on Earth right
In
now
human form. Thank
in
you.
human form. And let me tell you, they're not lizards or reptiles.
Is that what they, it's not V, which by the way, everyone is the greatest show ever. But yeah, I mean, I just, a part of me feels sorry for some of these people simply because everybody needs something to believe in. And it's unfortunate that that sort of awful scenario for our lives in the future, and potentially for you thinking about your children, that's upsetting.
Yeah.
I have to say, because you're envisioning a life of pain and misery for not just yourselves but for everybody around you, and I don't understand why you would want to
Well, now
cling to that.
imagine raising kids in that
Well, that's it.
mentality, right?
What are they going to do
You're
when you
not
go?
giving them joy of life and enjoyment of every day, and you're giving them this worry, this stress. Even if they may not be showing it constantly, it's still that little naggy
Yeah,
worry that's in the back
absolutely.
of their head all the time, right?
What kind of future is that? That's not fair. It's
No.
not fair. And yes, of course, life is hard, but your job is to protect as best as you can until they're old enough
But
to
that's what they're
understand.
thinking they're doing, though, right? They think that they're protecting.
But who? Are they thinking they're protecting them or themselves? Like
I
I'm
think that
wondering, is
they're,
there more of a
I
selfish
do think that
element?
they think that they're protecting their family, that this whole, getting as much food and being prepared for the inevitable in their mind is going to protect their family from whatever catastrophic event is going to be happening.
And I think that, and this is again, the show is called That's What We Think. And for me, when I hear that, I just automatically feel sad because I know that whatever has happened in their lives to get them to that space has been awful. And well, I don't think it's awful. No, no, no. I do believe that. I do believe that
Well, it
there's
has to be triggered by some kind of
something
trauma.
something awful,
Yeah.
and that's heartbreaking. I do think that is. I really do.
Yeah.
And that's not a joke. I everything has a reason for being, and for your
Yeah.
thought process.
For your
And
reaction. There's
absolutely.
a reason for reactions, right?
Yeah, though there's definitely a psychological profile in there somewhere that's probably not a happy one. So it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, right? So
The other one is 5G is going to trigger mass extinction, and AI will take over our minds. Well, we've been having 5G for a while, so I think we're good.
yeah, and as for AI,
Taking over our minds, we'd have to have a chip in there, but maybe that's what the COVID shot was. You never know.
oh, help us!
And then the
Oh,
last one that I have here is Heaven's Gate. I don't know if you've heard of Heaven's Gate
of
before,
course I have.
but it's a cult. Um,
Oh, I thought you meant the movie. Oh, sorry. No,
no,
no, no.
no,
Oh. No, I
no.
haven't heard of Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, they're a cult, but again, you don't know you're in a cult until you're out of the cult.
Right.
Um,
Right.
they've claimed specific dates of the end of the world, and they've been wrong every single time, clearly. And I'm sure that they have another future date that they're going to be claiming as the end. At what point, as one of the followers, do you go, so this is the fifth date that you've decided? This is
Right.
the last end of the world. I think Heaven's Gate also did some kind of like Jim Jones thing,
Yeah. Are they the ones that rented that house and then
or a
everybody?
hotel or something.
Yeah, and they were given something and they all died. Is that the one? because that one is awful. This again, it's like that whole hive mentality in that level. That level is really worrisome.
Yes, they did do mass suicide
Okay, that's the
committed by
one.
its members in 1997.
That's right. It was a big story back then. I remember because a lot of people died, and a
Yeah.
lot of people lost loved ones,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
understand that
it's
feeling when you're
that need
lost,
to
but
believe in something and to be a
and a need to
part of
belong.
something.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I need to belong,
Right. So
and it
when
led you to this.
Yeah. So when you get that and you have when you're in the cult, you have a
Yeah,
bunch of people, and we will do a cult conversation at one point. If you're a prepper, you're also part of the prepper society there, where there's a bunch of other preppers and you all talk to each other and you share things that you're doing. So again, it's a thing of belonging.
that's right.
We have said it before that the need for community is so important.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's what attracts people to prepping like this, because they have this prepper community now, and they all, their kids become friends with each other.
yeah.
It's just this very weird.
But it keeps them in their own way happy,
Yeah.
even though it's built on
Yeah. No.
catastrophe.
Yeah.
But they're happy being in that environment, and
Do you want to be prepared for what could come up? Because I mean, we do have things like hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms that happen on a regular basis. So we do have to be prepared for that. Who even knows, with this whole rhetoric from the US about us becoming the 51st state, that idiocy. So, what are the things that we need to do in order to prepare for that, do you think?
I can honestly tell you that I am not the person to ask. And this is my own selfish perspective of that. I am a person that has a lot of medical problems.
Yeah.
And for me, I can't think that way because I know that regardless if it is a disaster, I already know that I'm not going to be able to make it through whatever it is that's coming. I know that because the medicines that I take are so specific.
Mhm.
So, and they won't be made if something horrible happens. So all I can
I'm
do,
not saying hugely horrible. I'm just
no, but
saying,
I mean,
like,
even in general, I know that all I can do is make this statement to people is do what you have to do. I live my life day to day now. I have no choice. And that's the way I prepare. I can't think too much. I mean, it goes
you
through my
don't
head.
think
Maybe I
that
should
you should
get,
have enough medication on hand at all
I
times,
would
or
like to,
do you wait until your medication goes down to almost nothing before you refill?
that's the way it is now, unfortunately, which we're
Yeah.
not going to get into. We
Yeah.
can't get it. That's an entirely policy thing. But yeah, basically, that's it.
Yeah.
So what I have is what I have. And if something happens where that stops, I can't do anything about it other
Yeah.
than just enjoy it, be with my friends that I love, like you, and be with my family that I love. And I have to live that way.
Yeah.
If you want to plan months ahead or years ahead, so be it. Just don't
Yeah.
be a hoarder. What I say, don't be a hoarder.
No, don't be a hoarder. What
Please
is it going to do? You know?
spoil, and then you wasted all that money. So
Yeah.
don't waste your money. Just be smart. I think
Yeah.
that's the only thing you can do.
Exactly. Exactly. But
And on
that's what
that,
we think,
that's
of
what we
course,
think.
right?
Yep.
Oh, and you might have a different opinion on this. And if you do, please put your comments at the bottom of this podcast, whether you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music,
Uh-huh.
or iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, please give us a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
And of course, you can reach us directly too at theconnieandsteve@gmail.com. And we love reading your comments.
We
They
do.
are, as I stress, every word. Sorry, but we really, really do. It's again, I keep saying this after I don't know why, after every episode, but it's really nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
It's nice to hear from strangers. It's really nice to hear from our friends
it is.
when they say stuff about us, and we love it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Even if you don't agree, we still love it.
Yes, absolutely. And we
Yeah.
do really appreciate everyone who has taken the time to press that follow button.
Yes.
And that way you get notified every time a new episode comes out. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate each and every one of you. And even if you're not following and you're just listening whenever you can, that's great too. We really do appreciate each of you.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And on
Anyway,
that
we'll
note,
talk
my
to you
dear, dear friend,
later.
I love you. We will talk to you later.
Love you too.
Bye, Connie.
Bye.